Welcome to the Go-To Laser Engraving channel. I just want to give a brief intro of what we'll be doing. We're going to go over EzCad 2 and fiber laser tutorials in depth. If you're using Lightburn, I still suggest you watch these videos. It's going to be, pretty much the same stuff, just in different places on each program, but still same basics, same fundamentals. We're going to make another video after this one touching on some of the things we didn't quite get to on this first one. And we're going to make a couple more videos after that. Probably by the third, maybe fourth video, we'll be engraving on stuff, and you'll see how we move files to the program and then get them ready for the laser and then actually engraving them on the laser. So you'll learn all the tips and tricks and things like that that I've learned over the years. And like I said, I'm not in any way a professional master laser engraving guy, but I do have a few years experience and I've done a lot of different things. Just wanted to share some of my knowledge with you if you're looking to get into fiber lasers, or if you just got into it and you're lost and have no clue what to do once you open up the program. These would be good videos for you to watch. So just if you have any questions or something like that, just leave it in the comments. If I'm not doing something right, leave it in the comments, or if I'm doing something right but you have a better way of doing it, leave it in the comments as well. And just give us a like, subscribe to our channel, and let's get started. So I've opened up EzCad. We're in the demo version, which means the machine's not on. But we can still do and learn everything in here. So there's a few sections of this. If you're new to it, it may look really confusing. You see all these colors over here. You're like, what's going on? You have all these little editing tools. You have all these toolbar tools as well. But let me just kind of simplify it for you, show you the basics. We're going to import one of my logos and from there. Let's see. Let's just go with this. Okay. All right. So we want to bring it to the. I guess it's a good time to show. If we want to bring this to the center of our workspace, we'll make sure this is selected, which it is already. And we're going to hit this little button right here. That means it brings our artwork to the center crosshairs of our workspace, just like this. Centers it. Of course, the object's too big. This box is in size correlation to my lens for the laser. So anything bigger outside of this box is out of bounds for the laser, and it won't engrave for that lens at least. So we're going to make this a little bit smaller. To keep it proportionate, you want to drag inwards while holding shift. It'll keep everything proportionate just like this. Otherwise, if you don't hit shift, it could make it a little bit off. So you want to hit shift, bring it in, everything stays even and proportionate. Okay, and we could just center it again, just like that. All right, so now we have our image in here. So the laser, let me go ahead and try to simplify this too as well. When you have an image like this is what you call a vectorized image. Everything is one shape with lines and everything. It's not pixelated like a bitmap or PNG or anything like that. So the first thing we want to do is we're going to hatch it. This is how the laser reads any image. You come up here to this H right here, click it. Now it's going to bring you all these options right here. Okay. We'll go over this first right here, how to hatch or whatever, because that's pretty much one of the important things. We'll come over some settings over here. We're going to go down here and look at some settings, and then one of the most important things is your speed, your power, your frequency, and all that stuff. So we're going to use this image. I know I might be moving a little fast. You might be a little confused, but I'm going to go back and explain it. I just had to get this image up to start. So, okay. So we're going to bring this in. So we're going to hatch this image, okay? Right now, so you have 3 different hatches you can use.
I only use one hatch unless I absolutely have to do something going on with 2 and 3. It's enabled. Um, all cat all calcs is we're not really going to get into that. Follow edge once, we really don't need that right now for basics, but crosshatch means, and I have it selected, means you're going to have lines going one way and then it's going to go back. It's going to make two passes and the laser is going to move in the opposite direction. I'll explain that in a minute as well. Your line distance, the angle, all of this I'll explain in just a second. So we're going to start this. Let's just start this at 0.08. So it'll be a little bit bigger line space. You can see what I'm talking about. Um, and this is also the laser pattern. I'm gonna explain that as well too. We're gonna get all this going and everything. So let's just hatch it. Okay, so now that it's filled in black, everything that's black is what's gonna be lasered on the whatever item you have. So this is how the laser reads it. Okay, so the laser is gonna read it by the hatch lines. If you zoom in, all right, you see every one of these little lines, that's going to be one laser pass. And you see how there's vertical and horizontal? That is because it is cross-hatched, and that's going to be the second pass. So first pass is going to be at a 0 degrees angle, which is going to be side to side, and then it's cross-hatch, so it's going to be a 90 degrees. So now it's going to go up and down. If I was to take crosshatch off and apply it, now you only have one pathway, and it's going to make one pass. The laser is going to fill in everything on that one pass, and it's not going to do the second. But I always like to crosshatch. You get a better quality engraving with that. So let's see. If we move it in, we'll apply the crosshatch again, and you can watch. Apply. Now it's going to have that second pass going there. Okay. So we'll start from the top. Of course, I'm on hatch 1, 2, and 3 are disabled. We have it enabled. We're not going to use these right now. I'm just trying to show you the basics. So the pattern type, there is several different patterns. This one here, I could tell you now, I don't even use that at all. Um, This one here I use the most. This is a endless pattern. The laser does not shut off, meaning it's going to go across. Say this one line here, and it's going to jump up and go to this one. But when it jumps up, it doesn't shut off. So it's going to keep going, never shuts off. It's a faster engraving if you haven't, I don't know, a big project and you're trying to do a bunch of different things and you want a faster time. This would be the one. Now I will tell you, the quality will be a little bit lower than, let's say, this one right here. This is probably your most fine, smooth uh, hatch pattern, I would say, because it goes this way. Everything's going to go the same way. So it's going to go, laser's going to engrave it, just say this way, and this is going to stop. The laser's going to shut off. It's going to go to the next line over and then go this way. As you can see, these little red lines right here is the laser being shut off. The blue lines are at engraving. Now this is going to happen so fast you won't even be able to see it or notice it or anything. It's still going to go super fast, but over time it will, be a little bit slower than, say, the continuous one. Now this is a more popular one right here. It's bi-directional, but it does shut off in the gap, which it won't leave any like streaks or anything in like an awkward logo or image you're trying to do. So this would probably be your more medium speed. It's kind of a combination of speed and a better quality result finish. So this one's going to go across. The first one, it's going to stop. The laser's going to shut off. I'm talking about, this is like milliseconds. You don't even see it, and it's gonna go this way instead of the same way like the other one. It's going to go this way, shut off, up, and it's going to do pretty much this pattern you see right here, where the red stops, the blue lines, everything like that. So that's your hatch patterns. I will say between this one, I don't use this one as well either. This is uh, for something else. Let's say I use this one sometimes when I'm trying to get a fine engraving. I'll pretty much alternate between this one and this one. Most of the time, I do use this one because it does still leave a good finish. Just sometimes you'll get on some projects where you have a big logo and you can still kind of see the little streak lines in it. If you do see that happening, I recommend try to change the hatch pattern to something a little better. But for now, we just leave it at this. Okay, so your angle. So this is where, so you can see right now I have the first one at 0, the second one's going to be at 90. You don't see a 90 on here because crosshatch automatically is going to go 90 degrees or opposite of whatever you do. So if you're going straight this way, the opposite of that would be up and down. So if we was to change this angle to say 45 degrees, it's going to do a 45-degree angle. The lines are going to be this way, and your crosshatch is going to be going this way. So put 45 in, apply it. Now you see everything's diagonal, and your crosshatch comes in opposite of that. So it really doesn't matter what angle you start at. Um, you know, tediously it could help a little bit of to save time on some projects depending on what your logo looks like. If it's a very like elongated logo or something like that, 0 and 90 might be the best. If it's something kind of sideways or whatever, it really doesn't matter. A lot of people like to do 45. I just keep it simple and leave it at 0 and 90. It really doesn't matter. The only thing that does matter is when you're doing deep engraving, which I'll get to that as well when I get further down here. Let's see if we can move this up a little bit, and that'll be your angle rotation. I'll explain that in a minute. But I do 0 and 90. Um, right here, this is your pin. And this is basically your settings over here, which pin you want to use. We'll explain all this in a minute, and we'll kind of go back to this and I'll show you, but this will be your pin, your settings that you're trying to use for this one hatch, that is for this object. Um, Count, don't worry about it, I just leave it at 1. Line distance. Okay, so this might be one of the biggest settings as far as the effect of your engraving. This would be something that would determine the speed, the heat, all of that stuff. It kind of, just as important as speed over here, power and frequency. So this right here is the line distance. It's going to be between each of these engravings right here. So the bigger this number is, the more space there would be. So let's just say we put it at just zero point 0.1. It's actually going to increase the size. We got to hit apply. See how the squares get a little bit bigger. If we go to say 0.3, they get even bigger. This right here, if I was to zoom out, the laser is going to have less passes inside the image, as you can see. So what does that mean? It means if you are doing something, let's say, uh, you don't want a lot of heat on the material. Let's just say it's some kind of polymer, some kind of plastic or whatever. I don't ever use a line spacing this big anyway. The biggest I ever go is zero point 0.08. zero point zero 0.08, I'm sorry, yeah, 0.08. But my average deep engraving into like say steel or metal would be 0.03 to 0.04. Um, Now when I want to get something really hot, let's say the black mark something, I would go down maybe to 0.02. But we can get into that later with settings and different types of materials and stuff like that. I just wanted you to see exactly what this is, how it works. So like I said, if you don't want a lot of heat to it and it's kind of a delicate, you go up on this number. Let's say 0.08 is what I usually use for, let's say, metal business cards, license plates, things like that. Polymers, if I'm engraving like a Glock frame or something like that. Um, I'll use a larger hatch spacing. It's less heat. Like I said, for the business cards, yeah, they are metal, but you just want to remove the paint off of it. You don't really want to engrave into it. So, like I said, I use a bigger line distance, um, and it helps with that. So, we covered that. All right, all of this right here, I do not fool with this no matter what I'm doing. All this was already set in here. Unless you're trying to offset an edge, bring this offset a little bit, the edges of it. Um, I don't fool with it. Also, the follow edge once, let me show you. So this pretty much outlines your image. See if I can get an edge right. See, now you see this line right here? It's going to do all of these lines here, and then it's going to follow this edge one time after. It's going to be like just like a little cleanup around. I don't check that off because I don't like the edge to stand out like that on a lot of things. I don't use it on. The only thing I actually use follow edge once on would be like gun stippling. Um, it just kind of defines it a little bit better. But if I'm engraving anything else, I do not use this. Now this is personal preference. You don't have to. You can. I find the quality of work to be a little bit better without using it. Um, so you may, like I said, find some instance where you do have to use it and it looks better, and that's okay. But I don't use it. As you can see, you're looking at something so small and tiny that it still does mark anyways. All right, so let's see. So I don't use any of this. Now, angle rotation. Um, I only use auto rotate angle when I'm deep engraving because you're making multiple passes and you don't want the same lines being hit over and over and over. So what I would do is I find a degree that is not, um, I guess you could divide into, 90 or 45 degrees often. So a lot of people say they go with 63. It doesn't really matter as long as you change this after each pass. It's going to rotate that angle, so it's going at different angles, just like how the mouse is moving each pass, and you get a much smoother, cleaner finish when you're deep engraving. Um, but like I said, if I'm doing something where I'm only marking it once, it's not deep engraved or anything, I leave it checked off. Only check this when I'm deep engraving into metal or something like that. But you do want to make sure you have a good angle that's not going to hit the same mark after a few. It's not going to hit the same line path after a few passes. Um, average distribute line. I always leave it checked. So let me go back through this with you. For your basics, I would say, of course, you have to have this enabled. I would do crosshatch, angle at 0. Like I said, it doesn't matter. You could do 0, 45. That's, or 90. That's the three most common. If you do 90, it's going to crosshatch back to 0. You don't have to crosshatch, but it does leave a better engraving. Always leave this to 0. I mean, the black pen. Now, if you're using different hatches and you want different settings for each one, you do have to change the pen color, which I'll explain that later. But this is your main settings that are showing right here, unless you change the pen. Like I said, don't freak out. I'll explain it. So we leave that pen there. So let me disable this again. Apply. Make sure it's disabled. Okay. 3 is not. All right. So basically, like I said, line distance is really important. I usually go 0.08 as the higher margin. 0.02 is about the lowest I do go. Like I said, the lower the number, the closer together these lines are. As you can see, like we go to 0.01, apply it. Well, yeah. See, look how much smaller it got. That's gonna be that many passes in this little bitty part of the engraving. So you definitely don't want to put 0.01 or something like that on very um, soft, fragile material, something you don't want to burn or anything like that. Like I said, when I'm deep engraving steel or something like that, I use 0.03 like that. And then when I'm doing something, I just want to remove paint, something like that, it would be 0.08. I do go down to 0.02 when I'm doing some tumbler cups with powder coat. I want to kind of blast it off and all that kind of stuff. So, all right. So now we have that. We can go over to this side here. You always want to make sure you uncheck this. So now you're able to edit whatever you want. If you go down here, it says select param for library. That means parameters. I have a library of already settings that I have saved for different materials like steel, aluminum, steel deep, anneal. I'll explain what anneal is. Black business cards, steel cleanup passes, all that kind of stuff. We'll get into that later, probably in another video. But right here, so I want to explain real quick what the speed, power, and frequency is. That's probably all we'll get to in this video here. The next video will explain, all this down here, some more stuff up here, and probably, make a couple videos and then eventually get to the laser and show you exactly, how to mark and stuff like that. So for your speed, of course, obvious speed. It's in millimeters per second. It's how fast the laser is going to move back and forth on your engraving. The slower the speed, the hotter it gets, the deeper it gets, the more powerful it will be. The faster the speed, to be fast, swift. It won't stay in one little spot and won't mark it as deep. So you gotta play around with speed on certain materials, and you get certain different results as well. If you want to like darkened engraving on your metal, or if you want like a frost white color, just depending on the speed. The higher the speed, the less dark it'll be, that kind of thing. Which is more like your cleanup pass kind of deal. But this would be the standard here. Thousands usually, the standard speed, 50% power, and 40 hertz frequency. So I'm also going to explain, probably not in this video, but in kind of like a troubleshooting type video of your settings. What if you're getting a certain result and you need to change it, what do you need to fix, what numbers do you need to do, and how to do it. um I'll explain each one as well. uh Power is pretty self-explanatory. It goes from 1 to 100% power. The lower the power, the less it's going to engrave. The higher the power, the more it hits it, etc. Frequency. Now, frequency, if you're coming from a um, CO2 laser, diode laser, that kind of thing, you're not very familiar with frequency. That's something that's not on there. It's pretty much set to the galvo head lasers. So your frequency here, um, if you want to think of it as sandpaper grit. Okay, it's going to be how many pulses hit within a certain distance. Like how many times the laser is going to pulse and hit within a certain distance. So as you have sandpaper, you have like 800 grit, 600 grit sandpaper. The lower the number, the rougher it is. So if you're trying to really cut down into some metal, or really you know break through something, let's just say powder coat, um, things like that, you want to use a lower frequency. I don't. It depending on the type of machine you go to. Some of them go down to 20. Some can go all the way up to about 400 frequency. And it the higher you go frequency, the smoother that sandpaper is. Um, it it depends on what you're doing it on. If you want something like a smooth finish, or if you're doing like a cleanup pass, higher frequency is recommended. If you're wanting to get in and cut and just remove material, lower frequency is recommended. The standard, I would say, would be 40 to 50, in that range. I do go up to about 80. Some things I do 190. It just depends on what it is. Now when I'm really cutting, I go down to about 20. 20 is about the lowest. 25 or something like that is about the lowest I go in frequency. I think that's about the range of the machine as well. The machine, I think, goes down to 20 or 25. I'm not sure, but that's what about the range I go to. Um, Pretty much most of my engravings are going to be between the 40 and 50 range of frequency. Uh, and like I said, I have different passes I'll do. I'll do one pass with a higher power, lower frequency to cut through, and then I'll run a second pass over it with a higher speed, lower power, higher frequency to kind of smooth it out, just like sandpaper. So that's pretty much how the best way to explain frequency. And like I said, power and speed, all of that, all of these numbers here take different effect on. They work with each other. So if you have a higher power, you can run a higher speed. And it'll be the same thing as having a lower power with a lower speed. So you can kind of like play around with your settings on different materials to find the best result you're looking for and stuff like that. Um, Now down here, um, it's pretty much, light right here is going to show you where on the object, your marking is going to go. This is what you hit to mark to start your engraving. A little window will pop up here saying it's being engraved. You can cancel or stop it at any time. We will get down to these, what these mean here in another video, as well as some of this stuff up here, and I'll explain more about settings. The only thing I will say, this right here is your timing of the laser. Once you set this, don't ever mess with it again. A lot of times when you get your machine, it's already going to be set. Fortunately, mine was. I didn't have to go through that process, but there are videos on YouTube. You can see how to fine tune this. And you can see if what it looks like when it's out of timing, and all that kind of stuff. So I just wanted to give a quick little kind of intro into EzCad before we start actually engraving something, so I can explain all of these settings with you and everything. Um, so I'm gonna make a couple of more videos to start out with, all the way until we can get the laser marking something so you can see, and we'll get that out soon. And that's it. So hey, if you have any questions, if you want me to explain anything else better, just leave a comment in the comments, and let me know. Thanks.